You cannot just put concrete everywhere. You're like cementing the whole city. That's why the problem here never stops. Yeah, so the obvious topic for today is the rainy season. Monsoon season is here, and many places in the world have urban flooding, especially here in the Philippines. And I think this is one problem that has been bugging the country for years now. Yet the solution seems to be only one thing: build canals, build riverside flood protection structures. But the problem here is that if you understand the behavior of water, water adapts to its surroundings. And so even if you build a structure, it will keep looking for the weakest point. Once it's able to increase its volume, it can push those weakest points. And eventually, the cause of this increase in volume are mostly garbage. So or something clogging the waterways, and that is actually the problem, wherein the solution seems to be only after the problem happens. So what's going on? So like here, look at this: waist deep water. The streets turned into rivers with the flood water, and everyone just keeps waiting. I don't know. I know there are response team, but I think in most places we just wait until the water actually returns to the main waterways. And I think that is why the problem never goes away. There are no immediate response team that is supposed to clear the waterways.
Ba oh, siyempre.
So look at here, the main problem in here in BBC. Look at all this garbage on the river. You can see garbage on the streets. These are brought by the flood waters, which means most of the areas here that's supposed to have a pathway for the water to return to the river are clogged up. The rivers are clogged up. That's why the volume keep rising up. It should return to the sea or the lake, but since there is already impossibility to see which areas are clogged up, then they just have to wait until the water will lower. So my solution here is we should have a flood alert is to have a flood alert and monitoring system. It's not a simple system that is actually only focusing on the rivers. I know we have those expensive sensors in the rivers. So it will monitor water level is normal. We have alerts for that when the dam is actually announcing that they will uh, let some water off. We always have there is always an announcement for that, and there is the rivers and the lakes. They have measurement for those, but what we're trying to do here is an solution, a smart solution we can put in the urban areas that are prone to flooding. So we can have, I call this project Zero Overflow. So there will be a monitoring network of sensors put in different areas that are supposed to be the basin or the early accumulators of water. Once those areas turn to critical or warning stage, there should be a team that can be dispatched to check it out immediately. See if something is clogging, remove the clog, or if the water is starting to overflow, put some piles of temporary water controls, like bags of sands or rerouting of the traffic. And this can be done by smart sensors, not people informing, calling the city hall, calling the Senro that there is flooding here, barangay. And yeah, the problem with that is some of the flooding cannot be solved by barangay alone. They don't have the big trucks, they don't have all those big howlers. So once you can characterize what will cause this place to actually become critical or a yellow stage water level, then you will know that you can spend the special dispatch team for that. So here you can see, for example, once the flood, once the rain starts coming up, people will be monitoring here, and once there is, you can sort this out into different kind of uh, status. So you can see warning places. You can just go send a dispatch team, assign, and then you can see them dispatch on that side. You can see what has been already addressed, and there will be proper reporting to the public which places have already been uh, either there will be traffic on that area or which places have already people attending to it. And this it becomes a more informed population, and population that is informed will know better ways, so they can go to places or to the street, to the traffic, the traffic flow will change, and then there will be people that can clean out the clogs early on. And what we have for this one, our team here, is simple solutions but smart ones. We actually have sensors that can be mounted on like lamppost, and once you can put this will have floaters, actual floaters that can actually easily monitor water levels that are uh, rising in inches. So the main thing also with some water sensors is that the academic ones around is mostly just detecting if it's wet, there's water or not. And the problem with those is that uh, the sensors can are not smart enough to identify flooding or consistently flooded behavior. So what we do here, we have an actual sensor that will float with it, and then we will have smart box here wherein this can be powered by solar also, so we don't have to depend on the grid. And once we have this, it will be in a mesh or combination of one or more or two or more. So you can have each lamp post on the street that could be 10 to 25 meters apart, one sensor connected to each. And this kind of behavior, it will actually create a smarter decision making on the behavior of the street flood. So if this and this one are actually uh, having different status, it could just be that this post was just wet or something going on with the sensor. And this will actually become like a crowd to decide if there's really a flood in the area. And it's more conclusive. You don't waste people going there and seeing nothing is wrong. It's just for maintenance. So this will be last longer and actually more dependable. And that will be the simple things that can be done here. And I, I believe there are many technologies in the country that is easily able to analyze what's going on here in this plan. And I hope they will be able to bring their idea to the LGU. I hope this will be like a spark or a better backup to their solution, and so that it can be easily presented and people and our government, the society itself would start being more aware that there is smart solution around. So we can have an app, we can have a monitoring server wherein the media can access to also, so that once streets are flooding, there will be an easy call out that these streets are flooding, reroute traffic, or this area is actually needs dispatch team. Why is the barangay not able to clear this by themselves? And so there will be faster reaction before the waterways are clogged. And so if the waterways are maintained, then it could take much more than like few hours before even in the flood is already overflowing everywhere. So that's the plan here. And once you have data on those sites, it's easy to approve budget that this site is continuously getting 5 meters or no 3 feet of water in just a few hours, and there is really a problem with those canals because oftentimes people argue that they are flooded in their area, but if you are not able to compare the data on those, everyone wants those areas as high priority. And sometimes this is where engineering and analysis, data analysis comes in. You can easily decide based on the data which area will rise first because you have timestamps on the alert. And so you will know that probably this area here on the red is more prone to floodwaters before even these other areas here. So you will put solutions on this one first. And now you have a data driven decision as a community, as a government. And probably that will answer to less corruption, and more immediate solution that will actually address. Because eventually, if you look at Manila, there are a lot of waterways here. But if you notice this area, this can also get flooded here. This can also get flooded here. This can also get flooded there. But sometimes those flood, the reason for that is this area started to overflow to that, or this area started to overflow there. But if you can actually address this area here earlier, because you have now data that few minutes earlier, which is people cannot distinguish if you are just depend on people which area flooded first. Okay, but if you have computers monitoring here, you can immediately have an idea that maybe the first solution is to sort out this part here, or sort out this part here. So you cannot just put concrete everywhere. You're like cementing the whole city. That's why the problem here never stops. And at this time, I think there are already smart solutions, and we should use it. And if no one in your LGU uh, raises that they can do this, feel free to reach out to us. We will uh, help you sort out what can be done. We can come in as a consulting team, and the LGU can do the rest of the infrastructure. And yeah, that is actually what we are trying to show here, that there are now smart solutions to the flooding, and maybe we are just not really utilizing what is already available at our time at the technology that we have. We can even link this to AI, and AI can map a plan which will be your highest priority for building a solution just based on the timestamp. You can understand the behavior of the rainfall and how the water accumulates on all these parts of the country or the cities here. So once you sort that out, maybe there will be a lot of reduction in the flooded areas. We cannot avoid flooding, but we can see where are the weak points here going through this river. We can see where are the weak points there. Because water always looks for the weakest point, and that's where the flooding will start. And sometimes, yeah, i- it's the garbage most of the time actually in Metro Manila. That is a problem. So if you take out the garbage before it clogs the waterways, then that could help a lot. And that is a solution I don't think people are considering yet, because although the barangays will start clearing it, I know they are, but there are many places in Metro Manila wherein there are no personnel actively watching it, and that will flood because there's no barangay or residential area there. Okay, so these areas you can put so that they will no longer actually, or they can be immediately addressed by early dispatch team, and having a system like this could actually help. Yeah, so that's my piece for this flooding thing, and feel free to reach out. And yeah, I hope we can immediately, not really immediately, but this is a option for the country or the LGUs or the community to actually take a look at. Building infrastructure can stop water, but for this whole city to be protected from flooding is not purely infrastructure. It's not purely building flood control barriers, because the city is dry when there's no monsoon. So meaning it has waterways that works. But those waterways often get clogged or not really utilized properly. There was no help going to those waterways when it needed as water started rising. So this kind of system will actually help, and it will be very helpful. It's not human, and it can be deployed. So